What's bull?
Whoops. Wrong channel. Hey everybody, Tenbond here, Sick Edition. And while I'm sick, I'm not only going to use this voice for extra comedic effect, but I'm going to put out a video that doesn't require me to be vocally consistent with the rest of my channel. To start off this video, ray tracing. I don't care about it. I don't use it, mostly because I can't afford a new GPU if my secondhand 1070 explodes. But I've never really been like, you know what this game needs? Accurate reflections on those surfaces I'm whizzing by. No, most of the time I'm not paying attention. The only game where I even notice ray tracing in is Minecraft with shaders, because it's a slow-paced game. On top of that, subsurface scattering, that stuff where the light will illuminate under the layer of skin on a character, that's also something I never pay attention to. That being said, in slow-paced single-player games, sure, crank up that dial, make your PC sweat. But can everyone be honest with themselves for a minute and admit that in a fast-paced game, especially in multiplayer where frame rate is important, that high graphic fidelity is practically useless? Safer level of detail, sometimes that can really screw you over when objects pop in and distract you. Unless the game is like 10 years old or more and my computer can run it at high settings and maintain a high frame rate, like Halo 3, I play the game on low-ass settings. Graphics as a whole. Much like how I'm not paying attention to real-time reflection mapping, I'm also not paying attention to the minute texture detail on that wall I'm running by. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if graphics industry-wide went back to at least a minimum of late 7th gen, to a maximum of mid 8th gen, and instead we gotta focus on filling out the game. I would gladly pay $60, $70, to future-proof this video, $130 for a game that looks like it's from 2007, but has hundreds of hours of content to experience. Working off the last one, game price points. $70? Really? That 6-hour hand-holding experience with a lackluster story and generic multiplayer is $70? $40. Take it or leave it. The older I get, the more the idea of $1 for 1 hour of gameplay makes sense to me. There are some games from 5, 10 to 15 years ago I still play, that I've put hundreds of hours into, that were worth their price point. Hell, they could have charged more and it would have been worth it. Again, sacrifice graphics for gameplay. The only people that will complain are those who break the bank on hardware to compensate for their social lives. 4K. Like ray tracing, I don't care about it. I don't use it. I don't have any displays that can do 4K. And you know what? I'm just fine. 1080p is not only enough for me, but unless you're an aficionado like most of the general public isn't, you won't notice the difference between Full HD and 4K. I work with video resolution sizes all the time. I do notice the difference, and it doesn't bother me. I can render in 4K if I wanted to, but I don't, not only to save on file size, but most of you watch on phones, that you won't be able to tell the difference between 720 and 1080 anyways. Hell, you can't even tell if a video is in 480 on a phone. Besides, I notice more and more people wearing glasses. It's not like your eyes are going to be able to naturally see high quality in the near future anyways. Frame rates. 60 FPS or higher for gameplay, 24 to 30 for cutscenes. I know, pitchforks and torches, but hear me out. We're used to watching movies and TV shows in their respective frame rates of 24 and 30. When you bump them up to 60, a different association comes into play. One that drives me up the wall. Soap operas. You might know it better as old-ass TV shows.
You want the world of tomorrow? Want the world of tomorrow? I'll give you the world of tomorrow. You're going to the moon.
Now, wouldn't it be great to be able to go into the settings and have the option to set your preferred cutscene frame rate? Absolutely out of this world idea. Of course, in an industry where devs are either too lazy or too incompetent to even get a game to run smoothly or without crashes, we can't possibly ask of them to be able to accomplish variable frame rate cutscenes. I know, I'm the crazy one. VR. You can't pay me enough to care about VR. Until the tech becomes cheap enough to not cost an entire game console on its own, on top of that needing to have ball-busting hardware to do it decently, I don't think it's going to be in every gamer's household until then. And even then, I think it'll be like a steering wheel controller. How many people do you personally know that owns one of those? They're relatively cheap, yet I only know maybe one person that has one. It's a specialty item, something that an enthusiast gets. I want to get a steering wheel at some point, but that's because I like racing games. The simplicity of a game controller, a mouse and keyboard, is what will keep them king for the foreseeable future. You don't need that much room to use them, especially in that shoebox apartment you live in. Good luck smashing your hand into a lamp because you couldn't see it with those nightmare goggles surgically attached to your head. Apple. I ranted about them in the first one, but I have enough malice towards this dystopian corporation for a 3-hour video dedicated solely to them. I'm not going to rant about a specific feature I don't like because there's enough to be a second third-hour video. No, what I'm going to shit on is the environment of Apple. Mind you, I'm not going to attack the users of it too hard, because that doesn't help anyone. Here's my biggest issue with Apple: the sheer hypocrisy of the company. Mind you, Samsung and other companies alike are guilty of the same, but how they carry themselves makes it much less annoying. The whole idea that you're a part of a revolution because you gave money to one of the biggest corporations in the world has to be the greatest stroke of marketing genius ever made. I don't mind when a company gets big and puts out stuff. I'm a capitalist. But what I don't like is when a faceless mega corporation pretends to be utopian, revolutionary, and capable of no wrong. Meanwhile, their products intentionally get worse with each update to encourage you to blow more money on that shit that will slow down again. They're worried about the environment and human rights, while their products are responsible for tons of pollution and terrible working conditions. Not only in the manufacturing, but also the disposal of them. And the slave labor they use is, well, slave labor. As long as it's not in their backyard, it doesn't matter. By the way, you aren't a revolutionist when your phones, tablets, and computers occupy a massive share of the electronics world. You're the establishment. Just like Microsoft. Mind you, I'm an Android user, a PC user. I'm aware that the companies I buy from are also partaking in some terrible environmental and human rights practices. But you know what? At least I can admit the shit I buy is sourced from the souls of third world children. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your iPhone did not descend from the heavens to free you from the shackles of that minimum wage job you slaved away at to barely afford said phone. The one you pretend is a symbol of your defiance against the establishment you keep voting for. No. It was made by this kid in this sweatshop in this country surrounded by these things that stopped that kid from jumping from the top of this building down to the unstable sinkhole-ridden ground. But hey, who am I to talk ill of a multi-billion-dollar faceless mega corporation? I might hurt their feelings. Dystopia is here. Crossplay. This was one of the biggest mistakes of the 21st century. The idea that console players can exist in the same lobby as a PC player was bound to fail. This has come in the form of aim assist. Aim assist. This was always a thing on consoles, but the fact that it has been implemented on PC for controller users is brain dead. What's worse, it's becoming so strong to compete with mouse and keyboard, it is now just legal aimbot.
But people should be able to use whatever control system they want.
Yes, but you shouldn't be given aimbot just because you choose to use the lesser system. Halo, Apex Legends, Call of Duty, all these games have just become controller games on PC because the aim assist is so strong that it's just blatantly cheating. Want to use controllers? That's fine, but suffer the consequences of using an inferior system when surrounded by those using mouse and keyboard. Mind you, I still use controller for racing games in GTA. LED headlights. Anyone who uses these things are psychopaths that don't care about the safety of oncoming traffic for the next 10 miles.
Watch these close calls apparently caused by the glare.
Now, LED headlights are not in themselves a problem. It's how they're angled that it becomes an issue. And the fact that you can install these as aftermarket parts means that the average idiot is going to be blinding people as far out as the ISS. LED headlights in your average sedan or other low-riding car is usually fine. However, when they're in the compensation mobile that naturally sits at 20 feet above the ground, the headlights are angled directly into my eyes, searing my retinas. While I'm no fan of government getting involved in people's lives and how they use items they paid for, these death machines are the one place where I have zero issues imposing draconian safety regulations that ruin the fun of your local psychopath. And thankfully, this is exactly what's happening. LED headlights may be seeing regulations in the near future. We're not sure, as we cannot see the near future, thanks to the LED headlights blinding us. Oh shit! Roundabouts. Europe, I know these things are like crack to you, and I'm sure they work fine in whatever nation you're from. Your cars are tiny and made of paper mache. You have to be careful when driving, or else a simple fender bender could result in your car looking like a pancake. But see, over here where cars are only slightly bigger than the people driving them, we have this mental condition where we think we're invisible in this barely adequate roll cage on wheels. See, I have zero issues using roundabouts myself. I get the concept and how to operate within one. However, it's everyone else that I can't trust.
What in the Sam hell is this circle thing in the road? A yield sign? What do I look like? Some kind of
Frenchy, cheese-eating surrender monkey.
I don't yield for shit. We won World War II. I'ma take this sharp corner at 65 miles per hour. Fuck everyone in front of me.
Funny enough, doing that accent just now fixed my voice. Whoops. Stoplights are nice. They give you a clear indication of what you can and cannot currently do at this intersection at this given moment. When a red light pops up, I have time to return a text, take a breather from the insanity of city driving, check for cops, chug some alcohol, smoke some crack. Roundabouts work in places where everyone is much more polite and considerate of others. Stoplights work better in places where people need to be presented with an ultimatum. Stop, or probably die. Highways. I have a love, mostly hate relationship with them. I can make a whole video about them, but I'll sum it up with just this. Left lane is for passing people. The right lane is for when you don't need to pass someone. Stop hogging the left-hand lane when the right one is empty. If you're only going 2 or 3 miles per hour faster than someone else, suspend your ego, slow down a bit, get back in the right-hand lane and let people like me, who can't read speed limit signs, get through.